The band is back together. The OG RBLR Lightning crew. Chris Glazier's in the house. We have Jake Ricker. You're in the Sports Lounge.
And now, you're tuned into Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
It is a beautiful, wonderful Sunday morning. My name is Eureka Wheeler, and I have my main man, my co-host, my ace to the whatever you want to call it, my man, Chris Glazier. What's good, buddy?
Feeling good, man. Repping the hockey gear today because we got a special guest in the house today. Hockey season never ends around here in the Bay, even though the Bucks are rolling around here soon. So we had a preseason game. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. I want to ask you, Eureka, how are you doing, my friend? How are you doing today?
Buddy, I, for one, had a great night last night watching the Tampa Bay Rowdies dismantle Monterey Bay 4-1. People say they don't score a lot of goals in hockey or in soccer. You should watch the Tampa Bay Rowdies. They're a kick in the grass. But let's get, without any further delay, we need to introduce the man that we've invited onto the show, onto the Sports Lounge. You might know him if you follow the Bolt Report on Twitter, if you follow RBLR Lightning, because this man, he wears a lot of hats. He does a lot of things. He is a true professional in this business, and his name is Jake Ricker. It is an honor and a privilege every day, but especially today, buddy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. Can't wait to talk some Tampa sports with you. Everything's getting ready to kick into high gear here, so I'm really excited to get right into it.
We do things a little differently on the Sports Lounge. All week you guys go in depth into the Lightning and the Bucks and the Rowdies and the Rays. We try to keep it a little more personal, a little more vibes, a little more the man behind the microphone. And so I think you have an interesting story. I think you're a very interesting person to talk to about being a fan that also wants to do this as a career. So I kind of want to start from that. How did you get into being a Tampa Bay Lightning fan? Because you're definitely one of the most passionate Lightning fans that I've ever met.
Well, I appreciate that. And yes, I often tell people I'm one of the biggest Lightning fans around. And honestly, Eureka, it's been from the start for me for as long as I can remember. I've always joked with people and said, as soon as I was born, I was wearing the blue, excited to cheer for the Lightning. It has seriously been from day one. I mean, I grew up born and raised in Tampa, Florida. So naturally was watching all of the Tampa sports going on. As a kid, I loved playing the NHL video games. I was always picking, of course, the Lightning, and I'd be the one always begging my mom to please let me stay up late. I need to watch the game. I know I got school tomorrow, but the Lightning are on. I remember, there'd be Lightning games where it's on a school night. My mom's like, all right, you guys got to go to bed, and I have to go upstairs. But I would sit there, we had a little, walkway kind of overhanging the living room. I'd be sitting there holding on the bar, like just looking down, making sure my mom still couldn't see me. She thought I was in bed. But like, I'm watching this Lightning game. So it's seriously been from the start. And then it just took off from there. The more and more I watched it, the deeper I got into it. Now I'm doing all the things that you just mentioned earlier here today, trying to cover the team and wanting to work in the industry. So it has been from day one that I have really been a diehard Lightning fan.
A quick follow-up, because I'll let Chris get we'll kind of go back and forth with questions, but was there like a first player that you latched on to? Like, what was it about the Lightning? Was it just because they're the Tampa team, or was there like a personality or something that really grabbed you?
I mean, the main point was that they were the Tampa team, and I'm very big on supporting my hometown team, so that was the main thing. But the two players that I really attached to were Dave Andreychuk and Nikolai Khabibulin. Those guys were my favorite players. Obviously, two huge pieces of the 2004 Stanley Cup run, and when they won it for the first time in franchise history. But if you ever see me with any of my jerseys on, all of mine say number 60, and the reason for that is because my two favorite players growing up were Dave Andreychuk and Nikolai Khabibulin, 25 and 35. Add those together, and you get 60. So that is why I wear the number 60. Those two guys, Nikolai Khabibulin, just because he was the Bulin Wall. He was the man, right? He was so good as a goaltender. And then Dave Andreychuk, just for his leadership. I mean, he wasn't unbelievable leader, the one that the Lightning arguably never really had until he came around, because they had so many years where they just had one captain. But Dave Andreychuk for his leadership ability, and he was still a really good player at the same time. So those are my two favorite players growing up.
And the cool part is you being a Tampa native like myself. Obviously this is what we know. This is all the sports we know. I've never lived in Kentucky for a year, but that doesn't count. So being a Tampa fan, how do you feel? I guess like as you've seen the Lightning grow from where they're at, where we started till now, like. Talk about some of the changes you've seen in the culture we've seen. A lot of people say, hockey can't exist in Florida. It's 1,000 degrees there every day, but clearly it does. We've been how many years of consecutive sellout now at home games, and maybe just talk about what you've seen from start to finish, or not even finish, but where we are now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, everybody said we were crazy for bringing a hockey team down here and it was never going to work. And look where we're at now. It's amazing. Now, I will say, I was young back then, obviously, and I don't remember a ton, but I can look at, you look at like our owner, Jeff Vinnick now, and what he's done for the city. I mean, the city has grown up so much over the last couple of years, especially, and you can see how much even the owner of the team is putting money into the city and the fans. There's Lightning stuff all over the place when the playoffs kick off, even when the season gets close to starting again. And then, you look at guys like John Cooper. I mean, we've never had a coach like John Cooper, who's been here forever, as one of the top coaches in the NHL. Think of the hockey rinks. I mean, there used to be one main hockey rink down here in Tampa. They're starting to have more and more pop up around. They just built a new giant one a couple of years ago down in Wesley Chapel. So there's more and more hockey rinks starting to pop up. That's something, again, obviously, because we live in Tampa and it is so hot that you typically don't see down here a ton. So the fan base is growing. There's more and more hockey rinks around. The city is getting bigger and bigger. And honestly, it's a lot due to the ownership, our current ownership and current coaches right now.
And we've, even from our first Stanley Cup, like we've come such a long way. So maybe what would you say to a fan here that's really not into hockey? Don't follow the Lightning as much. What would you say to a fan like that to try to get them into the sport if they really weren't into it?
If you can get to a live game, that is definitely where, I mean, listen, watch it on TV. I obviously still enjoy and think is a ton of fun, but there is no other experience like going to a Lightning game in person. And I know that goes for anybody who's their favorite team in their sport, but I really do think hockey is one of the best live in person. And the Lightning, they do a fantastic job. I mean, of course, all these new stadiums, like Vegas, who just built their big star amazing looking stadium. They're going to have some great things going on, but Amalie does a really, really, and the Lightning in general, just do a great job at game presentation and getting you excited for the game. And then especially during playoff time, it's even better because everybody's into every single hit, every single moment. There is no downtime in hockey. It is such a fast paced sport, which is what I really love about it, is that it's so quick. But getting to a live game is definitely one of the best ways to get into the sport.
Where would you? Oh, sorry, Chris. Get in there.
No. I was going to say if you had to choose maybe a favorite Stanley Cup of yours, is there a favorite? As a fan that you,
that's good.
You kind of lean towards, the first, the last.
That's a tough question, Chris, because I've got some great memories for all three of them, but I'm gonna go with the first just because I was there in the building for Game 7 when they won it in 2004 as a little kid. With my dad. There's a picture that I have that I love of me. It's me and my dad just outside. He's holding up the tickets and we're getting ready to leave for the game. And then I've got a picture also after the game. I'm in the parking lot with my giant inflatable Stanley Cup holding up the newspaper. It honestly, because it was so long ago, I was maybe 7 years old at the time. So memories are a little fuzzy because I was so young, but obviously that was an unbelievable experience to be in the building for their first ever Stanley Cup. That's got to be my favorite. How can it not be?
Dude, yeah, so I was going to ask you about like where Amalie Arena stacks with the rest of the experiences with Tampa Bay sports. Like as a fan, what do you think is the best? How would you rank the stadiums and the fan experience?
So So, I mean, the Bucks, they've only been good kind of recently. So, for the most part, nothing was really going on too crazy. And the problem with the Bucks stadium is it's so hot in Tampa, obviously down in Florida. And they need to build some kind of roof over that place. So it's always tough with Bucks games because even if you're having a ton of fun, which I have had over at Raymond James Stadium, you're melting half the time. So that maybe brings it down in the rankings for me just a little bit. The Rowdies have a fantastic fan base and a diehard fan base. I remember my friend brought me to a game for the first time, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go hang out at a soccer game. I love sports. Why not? I was not ready for what I was getting ready to experience, especially in the supporter section. Man, they love their team. It's awesome. So the Rowdies have an unbelievable game experience, but for the Lightning, I mentioned kind of earlier, Emily just does such a good, in the Lightning in general, I should say, really, not Emily, but they do such a good job with game presentation and the way the stadium looks. They've renovated it so much. The organ, they're one of the few teams that have one of those. The Tesla coils going off during the game. I mean, there's just a different kind of energy, I believe, when you get into Amalie Arena, and it's by far the best for me. And then, of course, you got Tropicana Field, which, the best part about that with the dome, you don't have to worry about any rain. You don't have to worry about any heat, which definitely brings it up a couple of levels. But guys, we need to move them to Tampa. We need to get them a new stadium and get that moving there. But Amelie's by far the best.
Trop's underrated. I think a lot of people, if the last time they went to the Rays game was, some people haven't been there in a decade, and I mean, it's just the truth. There's some people that haven't gone over there. A lot of the renovations they've done at the Trop make it a thing. But
how about Troptober? Troptober's super exciting,
man. A lot of people are going to the Trop now, and they're going back for the first time in a long time and things like that. But Amalie, though, with the Tesla coils and the organ and the everything, it's special. Even if it isn't the most the biggest flair or whatever, but it's definitely good. Chris, fire away, man.
Yeah, I mean, to me, Amelie's is something else. If you haven't been to a Lightning game, and I tell people, man, like if you're not a fan of the sport, start. Go to a game. That's how I got hooked. I went to a game when I was in high school with my stepdad, and that was it. I was hooked ever since. I grew up here, but I wasn't the biggest hockey fan. I really wasn't. I was more into football. I always gravitated towards that. And then once I went to a game, man, it was love at first sight, man. Going to that game, the arena, the feel, it's just everything's great. So got another question for you here, Jake. We kind of did this, this before, but we talked about this a little bit before. But if you had, you won your Stanley Cup, if you had the day with the Stanley Cup as a fan, maybe what would you do with the Stanley Cup as a fan? Would you, take it on a roller coaster ride or?
That's a good one, because I remember the first one I was on for the first ever episode I was on of the Lightning podcast, which I highly recommend you guys go check out if you haven't seen it. You asked me what I would eat out of the Stanley Cup, and it's one of my favorite questions, and you just topped it right there. This one's even better. Man, that's honestly, I've never thought about it too much. But I love when I see players really going to their hometowns and bringing it around to local places and celebrating with fans. So I think I would try to do something similar to that. Obviously, I'm from Tampa, so just going to some local bars down there and celebrating with the fans, having some fun. I don't think there's anything too crazy like going on a roller coaster with it. That would be something interesting. I don't know if you could even do that. I would like to do that.
There you go.
That would be a great one. Take it to Busch Gardens. Oh boy, that could get dangerous quickly. But yeah, just honestly, just going around the city and celebrating with the fans that I think are such a huge part of sports. So that's what I would do.
We have some of the best fans. You really do, man. Our Lightning fans are top tier, man. Like I'll give it to the Rays fans are iffy, definitely iffy on the Rays fans. Bucks fans are a little iffy too, but I feel like our Lightning fans are
what's even going on right now?
Die hard. There's occasional Rays and Bucks fans that are wishy-washy, but our Lightning fans are true fans. We do have a lot of transplants here, so I get it. A lot of people don't cheer on the Bucks when they're good, but I've been around since the beginning, man. The Bucks have had some rough days, so
sure.
Maybe explain to someone who's a football fan, how did you how did you gravitate towards hockey? Like if you grew up on football, how did you gravitate towards hockey?
I mean, so again, this kind of goes back to it's just what I remember as a kid. I think my parents always had Lightning games on in the background, and I started watching it. I played hockey as a kid as well. So it was something, honestly, that I was born into, to put it quite simply. I mean, that was the one I started watching the most. Football is really something I didn't get into late until I started doing fantasy football. That's when I really started to get into football. And then baseball, that was my brother's thing. He was he played baseball from the start. He's a great pitcher. He just finished up his career
Shout
over
out
there
Gage Ricker.
at
Come
Adrian
on, baby.
College.
Let's
Yes,
go.
sir. So it really has just been something that I did from the start, on in the background, whether it was playing hockey, playing in the streets, doing some street hockey. It was something ingrained for me from the start.
Well, you've now taken that love and that passion and you've turned it to what I think what your calling is really, and that's to talk about it professionally. And so can you talk about kind of your beginnings of wanting to do that? Did you like dabble in some things and then said, no, you know what, I'm pretty good at this? Or what was the beginning of that transition like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so again, it goes back to when I was a young kid, right? I would always play the NHL games, as I mentioned earlier, and I would be sitting there playing NHL 04, let's say, and I'd be calling the games. I'd basically mute the announcers, and I'd be sitting there calling the games as I was watching them play, being my own little play-by-play announcer. My mom's got plenty of videos of her walking up behind me. I have no idea. And I'm just sitting there jumping around, doing my own play-by-play. I did it for all, not just the NHL games, but NHL, NFL, whatever I was playing, Madden, MLB. So I have always kind of had this love for being a play-by-play announcer. But the big thing for me was I had mentioned my brother, who was a pitcher for Adrian College. He was athletic. I did not get those genes. I was not very athletic. I wanted to play sports just like every other kid always does. But I quickly found out it's just not something I could probably do because I'm just not the best. But I said, you know what? If I can't be on the field, then I want to be in the booth. And that was the big thing for me. So I'm like, you know what? I want to find a way to stay involved with sports because I love it so much. And ever since then, it's been my dream. And now I'm at school for it, studying there. I do the Bolt Report, as you mentioned earlier, and then obviously RBLR Lightning as well. And I'm just doing everything I can to cover sports because I really do enjoy it. And the big thing for me is sharing that passion with others, right? We're talking about like, how do people get into sports or how do they get into hockey, something like that. I hope that my content that I'm creating and being a play-by-play announcer, hopefully in the future, it brings the average Joe can watch it and be like, wow, this sounds really exciting, right? That's my ultimate goal, is sharing my love with people who may not even know the game, and they can get into it. They can feel that energy and be like, this sounds like a lot of fun. I want to go check it out as well.
Yep. Who were some of your big influences then in the play-by-play and broadcasting?
Obviously, the Lightning guys I love all of them. I mean, Rick Peckham, I've had the privilege of interviewing as well. He's a super, super nice guy. Love him to death. I highly recommend go checking that one out too. We did over on the Bolt Report. But obviously, all the Lightning guys I love. But I think the one non-Lightning guy that was a big one for me, and his name is, of course, slipping my mind at the worst possible moment. Gary Thorne. Gary Thorne is my guy. He called the Stanley Cup game for the Lightning in 04, and I think he's just got a ton of fantastic calls that are really. He's got that kind of voice, right, where he knows how to elevate and get super high and get you excited when the moment happens. And just I remember we'll go to the 04 Lightning game. Remember watching that one back, and his call of Fedotenko's goal, I think, is fantastic because he does it in a way that's so simple. Like, he's not sitting there just screaming at the top of his lungs the whole time and saying goal, but it was just Fedotenko, he's got another one. Like, just so simple that it was such a great call. I love Gary Thorne, and he's a fantastic announcer.
Chris, you got anything for Jake?
Oh, so sorry.
Hop in, big guy.
Yeah.
That Wi-Fi's lagging.
Maybe. No, yeah. I was going to ask you, I wanted to get back to you. I was going to ask you who your favorite Lightning player of all time was.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Oh Good question. So I mentioned Nikolai Hobby-Bowen and Dave Andreychuk is probably my two all-time favorites. These are the reason for my number. If I had to pick one, though, I'd probably have to go with Andreychuk just because he was, he's still with the team, still works with the team. He was the captain. So he's such a huge part of the franchise. So if I had to pick one, I'd go with him. I'll tell you this too. Current favorite Lightning player, Brandon Hagel. I'm big on Brandon Hagel. I've been really enjoying him ever since he's been over here. So I've been a huge fan of his.
How about unheralded guys who, for one reason or another, they're not the top of anyone's mind, but you always remember, like, man, that guy, I like him.
Another good question. I'm going to go with Alex Pierre-Boulet. And the reason why, because he used to wear, I don't even wear anymore as much, but he used to wear number 60. So when he first came over with that number, I'm like, that's my guy. He's wearing my number. I love it. He unfortunately has not been able to really get into the Lightning lineup too much. I'm hoping maybe this year's the year, but I'll go with ABB as my kind of underrated guy.
Did you have a favorite position or a position you ever wanted to play if you were going to ever play hockey?
Funny enough, I actually played goalie for a little bit. I mean, let me tell you, that's a hard position. So much respect, Andre Vasilevsky. It is not easy. But I think I'll go with the wing. I think the wing is probably the place I'd want to be. That's a great goal scorer kind of position. So I like getting in spot to score all the goals. That's obviously one of the best parts about sports and being able to be the main guy. So I'll go with the wing.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're up. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, like, you wanted to do play-by-play. Like, what do you think? You brought up a little bit about a voice of some of the people that you've liked. What do you think is makes a perfect play-by-play announcer?
It's being able to me, so you're when you're a play-by-play announcer, right? You're in the building, you're experiencing the game live in person, and obviously not everybody gets that opportunity, whether it's because tickets can get really expensive sometimes, especially into the playoffs, or they're just too far away, whatever it is. You're in the building getting that experience, and I think the greats, what they can do is they can take the feeling that you get being there live in person and kind of transition that through the TV. Right. And make you feel at home, like you're in the game there, enjoying it with all the other fans that are in attendance. I think that's what the key is for great play-by-play announcers. Man, obviously you don't want to be biased. You don't want to over talk on the crowd sometimes, but the main thing is just being able to take that live experience and being able to try to give it to them. And that's a hard thing to do. I mean, it's not easy to get the fans at home to feel the experience in person, but if you're able to do that, I think that's what makes you one of the best play-by-play announcers.
Yeah. That was something I thought of always trying as a kid growing up. Unfortunately, I was never good at it, but it seems like it would be a really fun job. And I feel like you got great passion for it. So I think Jake's going to be great at what he does, man. If you don't follow him, please follow Jake. He's a great insight on a lot of things, man. I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no, well, let's get some of this insight. Okay, let's see what you really know, man. No.
Pressure's on, right?
Yeah. all this talk about you do follow the you've been on the Buck show that we do here at RBLR a few times. I'm sad to say you're a Packers fan, but it's okay. We still love you, man. But did you for the first time in a while, we've got a quarterback battle going on here in Tampa. So what's your thought? And you're a Florida guy too, so you may have some skin in the game with one of the two people. But what do you got, Trask versus Baker? Let's hear some of this insight we keep hearing.
I was just going to say, it probably requires a little bit of backstory here. So I am a Packers fan, which I know some people are sitting there going, this guy was just talking all about how much he loves Tampa and he's a Packers fan.
I've got an eject button right here, buddy. Don't worry about
What's up with that? But to be quite honest with you, it's fantasy football that got me into the Packers, because when I was doing fantasy football, I was on auto draft because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know football, and Aaron Rodgers was my quarterback for the first 2 years, and I've been watching him ever since. That's how I became a Packers fan. I still love the Bucks, obviously, as a hometown team. I remember going to games and watching Mike Allstott. He was my favorite player for the Bucks. Love that guy. And then, yes, I did go to Florida for a little bit. So I was a big Gators fan at the time when I was there. I loved watching Kyle Trask. I got to say, it's probably my bias getting the best of me. I was very high on Kyle Trask. I still think he can be a good quarterback. I really do. If he learns, he sat under Tom Brady for a little bit. I think he showed in training camp a lot. He looked like the better quarterback. I mean, Baker was throwing a lot more interceptions, but to be fair to Baker, Trask was in that system much longer than Baker ever was. This is Baker's first year with the Bucs. So, there is that to consider, but Trask was looking like the better quarterback. He wasn't turning over the ball. He was throwing some good passes in training camp. And I was really thinking Kyle Trask was going to be starting for the Bucs. That first preseason game did not do him any favors. Didn't look great. Obviously turned over the ball. Baker didn't. So that's a big thing there. I would imagine they're still going to start Trask in the second preseason game and still give him a chance. You can't base – that's the other thing, right? You look at these preseason games, you can't base everything off of it. You can't sit there and go, oh, this guy was amazing. He's going to be great in the regular season, right? Oh, this guy was terrible. He's going to be terrible. I mean, sometimes that's true, but it doesn't mean everything. So we'll see if Trask is able to bounce back in that second preseason game. But it was definitely a little bit of a setback, I would say, for him, obviously being able to turn over the ball, and Baker got the touchdown. He was much better in that first preseason game, but there's a lot more football to be played. So we'll see, but I wouldn't count out Kyle Trask because I really do think he can be a great quarterback. I mean, when he had that connection with Kyle Pitts at Florida, I mean, they were a dynamic duo out there. And if you could find that with somebody like Mike Evans, maybe that would be something to watch out for.
This is a fun year for the Bucs, man. We don't know who our quarterback is yet. I mean, I think they're leaning towards Baker, but I think
Fun's
Baker.
An interesting word.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm being optimistic about it. I think it's an interesting football season going into it. I think obviously the Bucs lost. I don't really take that into consideration on preseason. You don't run a lot of your schemes, your plays. You're just doing your minimal stuff. You can go undefeated in preseason. It means
20
nothing,
dudes didn't play.
Yeah. I mean,
right.
But I mean, the thing I wanted to see the most was obviously Baker in his first couple of drives, and I thought he looked good. He had some simple play calls, a couple rollouts. He handed the ball to Vaughn a couple times, but I mean, his composure was there from what I could see so far. It was great. That was a great pass. I mean, it was back of the end zone. No one else could get it. Great catch too. So I think Baker looked smooth. Trask looked a little rough there, but it's tough to say in preseason. Not a lot of your starters are in. You're not calling a lot of your big plays yet. You're not giving away a lot of your schemes. So new OC too. I think it's going to take time for this offense to get going. No matter who the starting quarterback is this year, I think it's going to take time. We're going to have rough patches. We're going to have false starts. We're going to have these penalties. New OC. Rashad White's the main running back now. New quarterback coming in. I think we're gonna have some growing pains. But overall, I think Baker looked pretty solid Friday night.
I don't think the Bucs are going to be as bad as some people think they are. I mean, I've heard people
either.
saying they're going to win 3 games, 2 games.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they'll be able to win a couple of games. But you're absolutely right, Chris. I mean, it's one preseason game. It's going to be a longer season for sure. And who knows? Maybe one of these guys, Baker or Trask, kind of finds their groove and starts to play well, and they surprise some people. I mean, the Bucs are kind of in that situation right there. If they're bad, worst case scenario, people kind of expected it. You get a high draft pick. If they're good, nobody expected it. It's really exciting and a fun season. So you can almost argue they're kind of in a good spot here. But it is going to be a long season. It's one preseason game. Yep. It's going to take some time to figure out your guy. But I do think the Bucs have a much brighter future than some people are putting out there.
Was there any, with both you guys, Chris, was there a non-Baker or Trask guy that you saw? Because a lot of the depth players had to play. I mean, there was like 19 or 20 starters that did not play. Devin White didn't play. Mike Evans didn't play. Was there anybody, offense or defense, that you thought stood out as like, oh, it's got some potential here?
The Yaya on defense, the linebacker from Louisville, he had a really good game, good pressures. Seems to be a really big guy, long arms, good wingspan. That's really what I'm looking for this year, is the D line to create a lot of pressure. We need that. We missed that last year. We saw when we won the Super Bowl. Pressure is it, man. We pressured Mahomes, pressured Rodgers, we pressured Breeze throughout the entire playoffs, and that's why the Bucs are able to come away with the Super Bowl. I mean, granted, we had Brady in the offense and everything, but I think I'm really watching the defense this year. I know the quarterback situation's up, but I think we got to have better pass rush. You know, we talked about Tryon a little bit. Tryon's got to have a breakout year this year. This is it. Like, I'm tired of drafting D linemen and these outside linebackers that can't rush the passer. The Bucs have just been known for that. Daquan Bowers, Adrian Claiborne, we can go back. Gaines Adams, rest in peace. But I mean, we've taken so many guys and these D linemen that just never seem to work out. So for me as a fan, I'm really paying attention to the D line in preseason and for the season upcoming.
Jake, anybody you wanted to shout out?
Well, I was obviously hyper focused on that quarterback battle because I'm really interested in it. And plus,
we all are, Jake,
in 2 of my dynasty leagues as well. So, you know, I'm really focused on it. But no, the defense probably stood out the most. I thought they were pretty solid for the most part early on in that game. I can't remember who it was, but one guy who had the interception early in the game, he had a pretty decent game. So the defense I thought looked all right. I know they ended up losing the game at the end of the day, but again, it's late. It's a bunch of subs coming in, but I did like some of the guys on defense. I thought that there's some potential there.
Yeah, I thought Cam Gill was a guy that just, I mean, it's an open competition in the outside linebacker position. Cam Gill, I think, made a step forward. And KJ Britt was filling in for Devin White, and I thought he filled in really well as like a kind of a leader, having to step up. I mean, he's going to be a bench guy, right? But he stepped up, made 4 tackles, did a good Devin White impersonation in the huddle. But
don't want to stop you there, but I do know KJ Britt. He actually shops in my Publix. Very nice guy. Always talks to me about the Bucs. Just want to say that while you're talking. Okay. Shout out to KJ Britt if you're giving us a listen. Super nice guy. Always says hi to me when he's in the store, but real professional. So
where tackling is a pleasure, buddy.
For sure.
The one guy I wanted to bring up was Trey Palmer. I thought Trey Palmer had he caught a touchdown. That's great. But he really showed off his speed in the kick return game, because that is with a year like we're about to have, like if it's going to be good, if it's going to be successful, and we're going to, we have a weak division. So it's possible if they do not do well on special teams, then I mean, it's just shooting yourself in the foot in the third phase of the game. So, I mean, the dude has 4.33 speed. He was phenomenal on kickoff returns. And if he might not get a lot of playing time as a receiver, but I think he can be an impact player.
Well, and as a Packers fan, I know, listen, we had a bad season when it came to special teams just recently. So special teams are important. They can make or break a season sometimes. And by the way, the name of that player was Zion McCollum. He's the one who had the interception early.
Zion's big reports out of him that he's doing he had a horrible year. I mean, he would tell you he had a horrible year. And he's kind of been the word has been out that he's taking it seriously, and he's doing really well.
Which I love that. Yeah, and this could be something that gives you a ton of confidence, right? A little boost to move on throughout the rest of the season. Who knows?
Well, we need a boost. We need a boost. You've lasted 30 minutes here. We need a boost. So, listeners, if you could do us a favor, do Jake a favor. I know all his friends and family and fans are going to be tuning into this episode. We're going to need your help. If you go to vote.cltampa.com, there is a link in the description. We need you to vote for RBLR as the best you already know we're the best podcast. We need you to help us get the piece of paper that we all get to share at the office that says that we're the best in the Bay. So all jokes aside, man, every vote counts. I want this. I want to bring this home for the boys and the girls and everyone that works here at RBLR, because guys, Jake works his butt off every single week. I drag Chris Glazier into here, so I work really hard to get him on screen. I want some. No, but all jokes aside, again, just it's a popularity contest, but it's one that I think we should win. I think we could do it. We've been nominated for this a couple times now. Let's bring home the trophy. Let's bring it home, guys. Like I said, link in the description, and there you go. Well, let's get into something, Chris and Jake. I know you're kind of a connoisseur of the betting type. Chris won his first one. He pushed on the second one, so we haven't lost yet, buddy. Now I'm not saying invest your life savings, but Chris, it's time for the bet of the week, buddy. What do you have for us this week?
We're sticking to baseball again. Obviously, like I said, using DFS right now until we can get this Hard Rock app back. Do have a little bit of an update on that. As far as I know, everything's going good. August 21st is the target date for them to reopen, but they said they have till, I believe it's tomorrow, Monday, to appeal. If they appeal, there's a possibility
they will.
There's going to be some wonky stuff going on. They said there's still a way around it from what I've read. So it's not set in stone, but it's not also. I'm hanging on, I mean, I'm hanging on, hoping we get these parlays going before football season. I want to get a group chat going, everyone popping in a 20-team parlay, and we'll all lose together, right? So, but what I have for today is I got Cutter Crawford of the Red Sox, under 5.5 hits allowed. He's at minus 279 right now. He's only given up 6 hits 5 times in 25 home games. I like those odds. He's playing Detroit. Detroit's bottom of the barrel. I think he might give up 4, maybe 5, but I like the 5.5 under for sure. So I am taking that for today. Hopefully, like I said, if we can get some Hard Rock back, and we'll get some good action going in here. We'll get the fun stuff going in here. Yeah, but it's fun. Don't follow me if you don't want to. I'm 1-0-1 so far, giving you guys some picks, but take it if you want to.
Jake, how's the DraftKings working out for you, man? What's the deets there?
Not great for me, man. Chris was saying he wants the Hard Rock app back, and I'm like, part of me does. The other part of me is like, I don't want to lose any more money. It took all my money from me betting on sports. But actually, last night I was playing FanDuel. I was playing against a couple of buddies, and I was doing pretty good. I'm like, all right, I might win a little bit of money here. I was winning up late in the game. He had maybe one more guy with one more bat, and the guy hits a home run and wins by 1 point. And I'm like, you have got to be kidding. It's a sports betting, man. It's just, it's so much fun, and it can be heartbreaking at times for sure.
Yeah. Everyone's got to have rules. So like, what's your rules? What's your code of conduct, Jake?
The most important thing is something I learned from my dad, actually, is when you walk in, whether it's sports betting, a casino, whatever it is, any kind of gambling, know how much money you're willing to lose, right? You got to be able to say, okay, I can comfortably, right, lose $100, let's say, and still be okay. I can still pay my bills and all that great stuff. But know how much you're willing to lose, and once you lose that money, you're done. Walk away. Don't keep going. Don't get into that mindset of, I can get the next one. The next one's coming, because that's where you get into trouble. And then also knowing when to walk away. That's the hardest part, right? When you're on that hot streak, because everybody goes, you can't end on a heater. Yes, you can. When you double that money, maybe it's time to walk away. Maybe a couple more for fun. But when you get into that green, take it home, because it's better to leave even with a little bit than walking out and all of your money. So.
Chris, you're making some faces. What's it sounds like
I got quite a few rules, man. I got quite a few rules. I can't even go over all my rules. I got a bunch of them I live by, but I definitely know if 96% of the tickets are on something, I'm not taking it. I'm fading it for sure, because that's definitely Vegas in on something like that. So I definitely live by those rules. If it's a guaranteed lock, man, I usually fade that. I always find that Vegas always wins somehow, some way. I'm not saying in any way sports are rigged, because if it are, all the players are in on it. But
yes,
I think there's a little bit of something we don't know, of course, but I just feel like there's always that time when everyone's got a big ticket and they're like, this is guaranteed, and somehow, some way, someone hits a 3 at the buzzer, or they hit a home run late, like Jake said, or something, a late field goal or a touchdown to cover the spread. So there's quite a few rules I think you got to personally have for sure to make sure you're not going down the wrong way. But overall, I mean, everyone's got their own hobbies, they do, and I enjoy sports betting. I really do. I've really gotten into it. I've done a lot of research on things, so I'm really hoping we can get the Hard Rock back in here. I'm pushing for it, man. And
it really is a good app. Like, not that we're like sponsored or nothing.
But
there's room for a logo right at the bottom of this screen, though. But I did like the heart, because I've used some other, legal, we're hoping, Costa Rican websites, and there's a lot of sketchy stuff out there, and that's why it's so important that we get this passed here in Florida. But some of these websites, it's kind of hard to navigate, man. That Hard Rock app was easy peasy, You get in, you could get your money out. You could, I mean, which is a lot. That's half the battle. That's what you're really gambling.
Right.
If you put your money in these websites, you're gambling.
Right.
You're ever going to see that money.
That's true. That is true. Very true. Very true.
So yeah, so I'm excited for that. But
Chris,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm a little surprised you didn't pick the Rays for today. They got Zach Eflin on the mound. Where's the bet for walk-off win? Because the Rays 2 for 2 on walk-off wins against the Guardians. Maybe go 3 for 3 today. But hey, man, I like Zach Eflin. He's been a great pitcher, stepping up for the Rays ever since they've had to deal with all those darn injuries. So I kind of like the Rays. I mean, obviously they're heavy favorites because they've been playing such great baseball this year. But I kind of like the Rays tonight.
See, that's one of my rules I live by. I don't pick my own teams. I don't pick players on my own teams. That's my own rule. Because I get too deep. Unless it's I've had some bad experiences with that.
Here's where I go with that. And I will only bet money line on my favorite teams, because if you bet the -1.5 or whatever the spread is, then your team can win, but you still lose at the same time.
Yeah.
But at least if you're betting money line, if they lose, well, now you're just sad times 2. But if they win, then you're even happier. So at least that way, it's if they win, you win, and if they lose, you also lose. That's usually what I do.
Yeah. Well, you talk about hobbies, and so I have a hobby, and I think you might enjoy, Mr. Ricker, what we're going to do here. It's time to open up some sports cards. I think that we can have some fun. Let's put this over here. We can have some fun with some Upper Deck. I've got some old 2020, 21, 21, 22, Series 1 and Series 2. So Jake and Chris, you guys will know, you'll know some of these dudes way better than I will.
See if we can butcher some names today, baby.
And to be honest with you, I wish I was cool enough to do some research beforehand and figure out like who the cool rookies are, young guns and stuff like that. So if we hit some amazing $1 million rookie card here, just please let me know if the dude's like really, really good. But for those, this might be the first time watching, like, I'm a collector of sports cards, but I do it for fun. So, we might find an autograph, we might find a relic card, we might find some serial number cards and stuff like that. And that's really cool. But I kind of want to get into the photography and the art and the coolness of, because every card, I call them worthless sports card breaks, because to a collector, most of these cards are worthless. But you might be that kid that gets that Hobby Bullen card as a kid that technically is his rookie and whatever. It's not going to be worth anything. But to you, that picture of the Bullen wall might be your favorite picture, and you might carry that thing around with you.
I still have a booklet of a bunch of Lightning cards. Why?
That's awesome.
I love the Lightning. You guys can probably see it behind me. I got my special RBLR cards over here with all the Lightning players too as well. So I'm rocking that as well.
I love it. Let's get it. So we got Clayton Keller. So with this design, they kind of have this like foil. You can see the Coyotes logo and this is just their standard. This is their base card. Clayton Keller, Robbie Fabry, Jacob Slavin, Ryan Johansson. I hate these jerseys. Look at these jerseys, dude.
Well, I was gonna say, those the outdoor game jerseys, and Nashville's had quite a couple of them.
Smashville.
I kind of like those, and it brings back good memories for me because I was at that Nashville outdoor game against the Lightning. So
okay,
that's right. You did get to go to that.
It was such an amazing experience.
Max Pacioretty, Jason Spezza, Jack Rolsovic, Alexander Elder, Nicholas Backstrom, Brandon. So this is cool. This will be an insert set where they kind of do their an old school, like O-Pee-Chee.
It's a vintage vibe right there.
Yeah, and it actually feels like that. It's actually as I drop it, it's actually the card stock. It's a little thin though. But marquee rookies of Kirill Ustamenko. What can you tell me about Ustamenko?
Never heard of him.
Never heard of that dude.
That's for sure.
Gustav Nyquist, Sundquist, Tyler Bozak. Man, that guy must have a really good jersey sales. Ben Hutton. I'm 12, by the way. Jared McCann. No Lightning at all, dude.
We do get a Lightning player in the background there.
Well, there we go.
That one.
It's Yanni Gord, I think. I think it's.
Oh, that's a good one there. Yeah, it
I
does
think
look like Yanni Gord. I think you're right.
Travis Dermott. Oh, here we
Hey,
go.
there we
Tyler
go.
There's
Johnson.
TJ.
Okay. So what's up with what's your favorite TJ memory, man? What's your
Ooh, that's an easy
Oof.
one for me. I
Okay.
mean, you got to go with the when he scored the last second goal against the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs, right? With 0.3 seconds left to win the game. That was an unbelievable moment. You know, everybody's thinking, this game's over. You got some people leaving, and then sure enough, here comes Tyler Johnson, throws it right in the back of the net. Perfect place at the right time. Everybody going bananas. That's a great one. And I see you got another great player right there.
Yeah, here's Sergachev, man. And this is cool. We actually didn't look at the back of these, but you have it's the same. Oh, because sometimes they do a different action picture.
Are those from the? Is that from the empty arena in the playoffs? Is that what that picture's from? Is there no one in the background?
No, because it's the 1920 season. I think the next cards I think will be from the empty arena for a little bit. Because I've also got here's the next year. So that was 2020, 21. This will be 21, 22. Series 1 and Series 2. I think these are the empty arena ones.
I
That
actually
one
have
did kind of look like I don't remember. It all runs together, all that
Man,
stuff.
that time period I try to block out of my brain.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah. All right. So, man, not a lot of difference. They go 1 year, and so this is like, I think that's lazy. I think
Picture bottom left. Yeah,
man, I think that's lazy. I think they could have done something better. But that's part of it. But what is nice, it is a different picture. There's this guy, and then you have it's a different picture, and then that same picture will be on the back. Okay, all right. Patrice Bergeron, which I'm sure is one of your favorite players there. Tyler, Milan Lucic, Tristan Yari, Kevin Lankinen. I'm going to butcher every one of these names here. Look at these Kings jerseys, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh man, some of the best reverse
Those are
retro
nice.
out there. Those are
Buddy.
Those are
very
nice.
jerseys.
Shout out to the Kings for that
I
one.
will say that's something the NHL I think did a really great job of. And you know, I'm watching baseball do their City Connect jerseys.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them I feel like are very hit or miss sometimes. The NHL did the reverse retro home run, knocked it out of the park.
They were great.
Pretty much all the jerseys are fantastic, and I thought those were a lot of fun. I wish they'd bring them back.
I liked our dark ones we wore on Saturday nights, but that was me.
Olive Olsen.
Those jerseys. I don't know much about him.
I don't know if that's a good young gun there.
The black jerseys, Chris, are very divisive throughout the Lightning fan base. I mean, you either got people who love them or you got people who hate them.
My wife said she just couldn't see. That's
bag.
what she didn't like. She couldn't see the numbers properly from watching on TV. That was her complaint.
That was
so.
big.
I mean,
They did change the numbers and made it a little bit better. But yes, a lot of people had that same complaint. A lot of people would say that they lost in them all the time, but that's actually not true. I once did an article on this where I went back and looked at exactly what the Lightning's record was in the black jerseys. And it was a winning record. They did have a winning record.
There you go. See, there you go.
They were better in them. They were better in them.
I think there's meat on the bone to do like the current look. Like not with the bolts, the BOLTS down the side of it, like doing the current do a black jersey with one stripe on the side of it and kind of like a reverse retro look, but just with the current logo on the center.
See that the jersey that I've tweeted it a couple of times now too as well. The jersey that I have been begging for is basically you take the 04 jersey for the Lightning, that great black color, and then just throw the current Lightning logo on it. That I think would be because people love the reverse retro 1.0s, right? Which was the blue. It's the 04 style, but in blue, and then the old logo. People love those. I think the 04 jersey with the new and current logo would be unbelievable. That'd be a fantastic jersey.
Here's another fan favorite, Alexander Barkov. Austin Matthews. So perfect. This is a perfect example. This card is like worthless. It's not his rookie card. It's not whatever, but like there's somebody out there that collects every Austin Matthews card, or there's some kid out there that's like, man, this is my favorite guy. And Mikko Rantanen, killer for the Avalanche. Andrew Kopp, Brady Tkachuk. Here's Matthew Joseph.
Joseph. Wow.
Look at this guy. Keep that over here, my little thing. Mike Riley. Travis Hamonic. Anthony Mantha. Hey, look at that. Gooch. Look at this really cool picture. There's the banner.
I was gonna say, and you got the banner on there on the jersey patch. That's one of that's probably opening night.
That's nice. Beautiful. Oh man, so beautiful. I can keep that. It's Kubel, Matt Murray.
At least there was some lightning in there.
Dude, I'm telling you. So this will be another insert Dazzlers. And these cards are cool too, man. Like, you know, if you're a kid, when I was a kid, I was like, oh man, I thought these were gonna be worth so much money or whatever. It's like, oh, these are
that's what it is. They make you think it's like, look at all the sparkles and this is a big, but really in reality, it's just another card.
What I hope, I hate checklists. What's the point of a checklist card? These are worthless. These are absolutely worthless. Yeah, I mean, no one's ever. I don't know, man. You don't use a check. No one. Oh, I've got number 644. Boop, check it out.
Well, the two players in one seems kind of weird to me.
So in baseball, they will do. I haven't seen that this much with hockey, but they'll do like a league leader. Oh, who's a league leader in RBIs and home runs and stuff. And so for vintage old like 50s cards, it's really cool because it'll have Harmon Killebrew or whatever, Mickey Mantle or Lou Gehrig or whatever. You know, you can get these guys
I can see that
where like every single instance of those players, those are, if they're not worth a lot of money, it is kind of cool to be like, I own a, 50 years from now, someone's going to be like, man, I have one that has Trout and Ohtani, and whatever on the Kershaw or something like that on it. So I mean, maybe. I mean, Nathan McKinnon might make the Hall of Fame. Maybe. I don't know.
McKinnon, Dreisaitl's actually had been so good ever since McDavid got there.
Yeah. Tyler Mott, Matt Dumba, Brian Rust, Uso Valmakai, Boone Jenner, Maxime Comtois.
That is one of the hardest names to say in hockey. I've heard so many different pronunciations of that one.
I'm gonna go with. With Maxime, it's got to be French, right? Where's he from? He's from Quebec. It's Comtois. Jordan Kyrou.
He had a pretty good year.
Neil Ponick, Jordan Eberle.
Seattle jerseys are so nice. They're one of the best jerseys in the NHL.
Yeah, let's talk about those a little bit, man. I love the teal. I love the little bit of red accent. I love the eyeball in the Kraken logo. Like,
so clean.
It's 100%.
And their home jerseys are just as good. I think the whole set is fantastic. And I'll tell you what, I really like. Seattle's a fun team to watch. They're obviously they got Yanni Gord as well. So of course the former Bolt over there. I'm still mad at Seattle for taking him from us, but they got really nice jerseys. Their stadium is really cool. One I definitely hope to get to soon, but Seattle did a great job with their branding for sure.
Yes. Yeah, so all in all, this was not a good haul as a collector at all. But man, if you're collecting Lightning cards, and maybe some rookies that pan out down the road, that might, but all in all, it's just about having fun. It's just about doing that, and it's. Let me get the production back on track here. But I love that. It's just cool. I love sports cards. I love everything about those things. And a lot of the photography is really good on these hockey cards. I wish there was a little bit more action shots. A lot of these are just kind of dudes skating around or doing their celebrations, but it must be hard to take pictures of players in action because it's so fast. So I don't know.
It's true. You ever notice though, speaking of photography, especially nowadays, when the NHL will post a picture because a guy got traded or signed or whatever, look at the picture because 8 times out of 10, it's from Amalie Arena. There's something about Amalie and the lighting and the photographers that they have there. They do such a good job. They take better pictures than most other teams.
I didn't think about that. Yeah.
Go look at some of the pictures the NHL posts. There's a good chance that it is from Amalie Arena. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the lighting or I think it's the lighting, honestly, and they're able to get really good pictures out of Amalie. And more often than not, you'll see some from Emily, especially today in the way the NHL posts them.
Well, Jake, you've been a wonderful guest. Thank you for coming on to our show.
Thanks for having me on.
Let's at least got to plug the Bolt Report. We haven't really talked about the Bolt Report at all. It is a wonderful, wonderful thing you and Michael do over there. So the floor is yours, man. Take it away for someone. There's someone who hasn't been out there yet, but I doubt it. You're running the social media game over there.
Things have been going well, and we're very grateful for all the support we've had. But at Bolt Report _TB, that we cover everything, Lightning. We do articles, we do YouTube videos, podcasts. I mentioned some of the interviews that we've done. Highly recommend going and checking that out. And just at Bolt Report _TB, both on Twitter and YouTube as well. So go check us out. Really appreciate it. We're doing a news ready to kick off here very shortly, where we're doing Meet Bolts Nations. We've been interviewing some fans and talking to them and getting their perspective on how they became Lightning fans. So I'm excited about that series. So be sure to get over there and check it out when it launches on the ground floor.
All right, Chris, what's the biggest thing you're looking forward this week? What are we going to talk about next week?
Oh man, there's a lot going on. The Rays need to keep winning. The Bucks have got the Jets coming up. With Kyle Trask is going to be starting that one, so be on the lookout for that. Hockey's right around the corner. Preseason's here. College is coming. Man, this is the best time of year, man. I love rolling in the fall. Love you guys. Great show, Jake. Follow Jake, man. Jake's the man. Love all the stuff he does. Appreciate you, man.
Make sure you hit that follow. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit all the socials. Let's go, guys. We out here. Peace, Tampa Bay.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.